Hi, fellow traders. Well, there's another Money Making Monday in the books. And my Monday pretty much started out just like last Monday did. It's like a dream. It's like I was still sleeping. And by the time I woke up, I was in the hole pretty good. And today seemed to be, it's probably one of the best recoveries I've ever had. But I'm still not happy. Last week was probably one of the best weeks. Well, the best week I've had in the last year. But as far as my trading, I just didn't feel good about it. If that makes any sense. And going into this week, starting the day, I kind of, after the day we had, it just felt the same way. I'm just not real happy with what I'm doing. And this second part of this phrase is where I'm breaking down. I'm not executing my plan. I have awesome trade plans. I'm always, have them in my mind and know what move the stock's going to make. But it's the way, it's my execution. It's what's keeping me out of the trades and really helping me dig myself a hole that I have to get out of later in the day. And it's really getting to be frustrating. But I know I'm good at executing when I put my mind to it. I just have to get my head screwed back on straight when it comes to, really executing my trade plans in the morning. I'm just rushing and just jumping in without really thinking and just going to town. And I've got to stop that. So what you're looking at here, this is a picture of me back in the beginning. This was before there was ever an average Joe. This is just Ed. But I had a plan in place to get me from where I was to where I am now. I knew what I wanted. I had a plan, and I was diligent about executing that plan. I actually started with just one laptop, the one right in front of me. And I ended up going to the state surplus, and I got both of those monitors for like $25. And then I went and got this other little laptop for like $250. That's all it took. And it was just a period of time. And I knew eventually what I wanted to grow into, but I knew it was going to take a well thought out, well designed plan, and it was going to take me executing it without fail. And this is where I was then, and you see where I am now. And it was all about planning, developing a plan to get from where I am, from where I was to where I am, and then executing it. And a lot of traders that I mentor with now, they are seeing the value of establishing a plan to get to, to get them from where they are at this point to where they want to be. Because now they see that there has to be a plan in place. You don't just wake up one morning and everything is where you want it to be. You've got to work towards it. And you got to have, goals that you have for yourself that you have to meet and get up and work toward every morning. So I executed that plan. Now the problem is with me executing my trade plans during the day. That's where I'm breaking down. So I'm getting the plan, your execution down, because we're finding the stocks that are moving, that are giving us the opportunity, but I'm not executing those plans. So let's take a look at the first trade today. We'll look at the daily chart first. And you can see we were opening here, and we gapped up, and It's a huge gap. So obviously, I'm going to think that we're going to get some pullback today. And we've got this huge window here from this previous gap down that I feel is going to give us a big, some big opportunity. And I felt that, this was a doable window right here down to 10. And I felt under 10, if we could sell off some more, we would sell off to this level and then bounce. And, that's what I was looking for. You can see we didn't quite get there, but we did have a pretty good sell-off. So, of course, I get in, 5-minute opening range puts in. I get in under it. We get a little bit of, choppiness and fighting back here. Finally, we make a move down. I cover some around my first target. And then we bounce. And so, I take the rest off. I wait for the rejection. This was a good execution. This was hideous. If I was going to get in this on this rejection, this is where I needed to get in the trade right here. Didn't, for some reason I waited and ended up getting in right at the bottom. And so when I was going to stop out, I should have stopped out on this candle here. But no, I let it continue to run. And, it being 1,000 shares, it's going to take you, this little move is going to be pretty devastating. So after I made, about 200 here, this put me in the hole. I think I was over $600 in the hole on this trade at this point. All because of this poor execution here. And, the stock, it went on up, made this huge move up, and didn't quite make a new high here relative to what it made in the pre-market. We started to sell off. So I felt, okay, once we get back under VWAP, we may make this run late in the day. So I got in here, I was at lunch, and, I got in here. And this is where, I said in chat, I would like to get in this, once it cracked VWAP. Well, I wasn't really patient, and because I was mobile, I didn't want to miss getting in. So once we dipped below it, I got in. I knew this was a little bit early. And, when I got ready to switch back over and, come back into my desk, I just didn't have the confidence to leave it running. So I went ahead and took it off. And, as soon as I got back in, we were making the move down. And so that's when I got short. Took some at my first target here, which was red to green. And then we got the next move down. Didn't quite get to 10. This 10.15. This is right below this 100-day was where I had my next target. And, we didn't make it down there. But because I had to leave and go pick, my son, I have to leave every day, early. So I usually cut everything off. Or if I leave one trade on, I can't leave two on. So this one is the one I decided to cut off. And I just had to cut it here. I was hoping that we would at least get this move down before I had to go, but it just didn't get there until after the fact. So there was really nothing else I could do here. I executed this as well as I could. This I kind of executed as well as I could based on what I was doing. The situation I was in at the time. It's this one trade here, this one loose trade is what really dug a hole. So at the end of the day, on IMMR, I had with commissions, a little like 475, 476 altogether. Which, considering where I was at one point, that wasn't too bad. But again, it's execution that really, hurt me on this. See, so the next one, now this one, let's go to this real quick. WYNN, this one, we know the story on this. We know why it's selling off. And this morning it gapped down. And this was the only way I would get in this stock today is, if we had a gap down and we had volume. And we did, which put this in play again. So my idea was, this is going to sell off all day. That's what I kept mentioning, that I'm looking for the sell off. I want to trade this all day. And that was my plan going in. So for some reason, I decided to kind of jump the gun here. This is the 5-minute opening range low. I anticipated a rejection on VWAP, so I got short here. It didn't happen, so I got stopped out. Thought we were going to get it again on the rejection of the 20, and didn't, got stopped out. All of this, these two were poor executions because I did not wait. You have to wait for a rejection here. Yeah, you can anticipate, but you're going to most likely get stopped out. Did not wait for the clear rejection and ended up getting nailed on this. So I waited again, after digging a hole again. I waited for it to give us a clear rejection of the 20. Once we got under the 9, at this point I knew that the VWAP was pretty much done. And I got in and we started making the move down. So I was able to cover through this and lock in some profit. My ultimate target was down here through 162. There was another one at 160. But it's, you got to take these in increments, because I was looking for this to fade all day anyway. So once I kind of got locked in on this, I felt that I would, be able to make some good money on this. So, I got through this trade. So this one, I went to short it again because I thought we were rolling back over after that rejection. Of course, we didn't. Ended up getting stopped out. And, getting ready to go to lunch, I was like, this thing is just weak. Why just set it and let it work? Let's go to a longer time frame. So I switched to a 15-minute chart, went to a longer time frame, and I was just going to let it work, while I was at lunch. And so, of course, there was something on CNN in the middle of lunch that caused this thing to pop up back to VWAP. But it couldn't make it back over it. So I was a little concerned at this point. But then we came back down, and I had my targets at the whole dollar marks, like 164, 160. I think this was 165, 164. Then I had 163, but we didn't quite get there, and ended up just covering the rest through here, and then just reset on, this rejection. We showed a whole lot of weakness. So I got back in, and this was the one that I was going to hold, through the end of the day. And got in, and this thing had this huge washout. So You ask my son, I had to pull over on the side of the road so I could scale out of this thing because it was selling off hard. Now, if you have a GM car and you have OnStar, you gotta get that the hotspot, because I mean that has saved me, so many times. You don't have to worry about getting a wireless connection or anything. You have it right there in your car. So I just logged on and just scaled out right there, and then just left that last 75 shares on just to see if we would get a sell-off later in the day. So when I got back to the house, I just went ahead and covered the rest. But this was a huge recovery. But this was a stock that I really, honestly and truly should have been another $1,500 to $2,000 trade on this. But because I dug, a $600-700 hole at the beginning, I only ended up with $726.30. So it was still green on the day. So it was a miraculous recovery just to get back green and to make a couple $100 on this. But it took, stopping, taking a break, going back, refocusing, and executing the trades. So I have a problem executing first thing in the morning. I have a problem rushing and, just trying to get in a trade and making something happen. And, it's something that I'm having to work through. I talked about slowing the time frame down to 15 minutes at the open. I tried to do that some last week, but it's hard to shift gears. Once you've been doing one thing for so long, it's kind of hard to shift gears. And especially when you see stocks moving like they do pre-market, and the moves are happening before the open, it kind of frustrates you. It's like my trade plans are executing before the market even opens. And so when the market opens, your anxiety level is up and you're ready to jump on these trades. So I've got to kind of, work my way through this mess. Now let's see. Okay, here it is. This is, you can see this IMMR. I still had 1,000 shares open when I took this snapshot. But at that point, I was down 184.68 that I had locked in. These were losses that I had locked in. This was that last stop out, and after this, it put me down over $600 on that trade. Here you see on WYNN, I was down 745.92. After two trades, those were the two stop outs. So you add these two together, you can see that's 14, almost $1,500. But if I hadn't had this happen, I probably would have been able to make a little bit more. So that's why I said between 15 and 2,000 that I should have had. So WYNN should have been a really killer trade, but poor execution on my part just killed it. But I take responsibility for it. A lot of it has to do with some other things that are going on, the emails that are coming in, things that I need to just filter out when the trading day starts. It's like if somebody's having a problem getting in or whatever, I don't want them waiting, and I tend to try to take care of it and trade. I got to stop that. That's one of the big issues that I'm having, is I'm getting back into that cycle of trying to do too much at the open, and my focus needs to be on trading. After 10, I could go back if I need to, but I've got to focus on executing my trades and my trade plans, and making sure that everything is in place in the morning. I couldn't even get back to the swing trade room and try to get an entry in one of the stocks that we're setting up today. I never did log into my swing trade platform. This win trade at lunch I was supposed to put in my swing trade. I thought that's what I did, but I had logged into my day trading. Just little things like this are the details I need to clean up. So I need to focus more on this execution. Put more effort into making sure that I'm doing the right thing at the right time. And not scattering myself all over the place. So that's going to do it for me today. Again, I've got one more day tomorrow, Wednesday. I'll be out. The room will be up. Everything will be running. But I'll be out on Wednesday. And I will be back to do the webinar, the education webinar that we do on Wednesdays. I will be back for that. But we'll see what we could do tomorrow. This has the feeling of a slow week, but you never know. Just like this stock could have given us easily $1,500 to $2,000 a day. There may be one tomorrow that can do it, maybe one Thursday, or maybe one Friday. We'll see. But just have to stay locked in and keep that sniper-like focus. All right, guys, so have a great evening, a great night, or a great morning, depending on where you are. And I will see you bright and early in chat.